This is Javier with The Real Javier Novoa, a channel, a platform, and a modality where we apply the principles of philosophy, spirituality, mysticism, and business, and just good common sense to rapid lifestyle transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a big video tonight, a question from a subscriber that we're going to answer because it deals with a very deep issue, or rather a host of very deep issues that get to the root of what is rapid lifestyle transformation, that get to the root of law of assumption, law of attraction, and that are going to help me illustrate a lot of the points that we try to disseminate in our platform and our videos. I love your questions. Thank you for the emails, the questions, the comments on the videos. Please keep them coming because it helps me be able to teach this material. So keep those coming, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I just want to invite you, as I do always, if you're new to the channel or if you've been watching for a long time and have not yet subscribed, I invite you to please consider hitting the subscribe button below, because not only will you be joining a community of master manifestors, you'll be getting all of the alerts to my videos as they come in, but you'll also be helping us grow the channel and get this word out to as many people as possible. Let's get the algorithm into our favor so that we can continue to play our small role in this global awakening whose time has indeed come. The times are indeed ripe for this global awakening, ladies and gentlemen. So I just wanted to make the one announcement now that I've been making for the past few days. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, probably when you see this, it will be today, at 12 o'clock p.m., that is 1200 military time, Central Standard Time, Dallas, Texas time, we're going live, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. I did do a test earlier for the live stream. There is the chat available, and we're going to be using that live chat to take your questions live real time. I'm probably going to be reporting from the great Whole Foods, a very nice environment where I can get out in public and concentrate, and either maybe people can also listen there, and also you can listen at home, and we can have a great discussion. The discussion is going to be free form. It's going to be open. I'm going to be putting myself at your disposal. Ask me any questions that you want. You can even consider it a free coaching session. We will answer every single question that we can. If we get traction, I will stay for a full hour. Like I said, if we only get a few people or if there's not much engagement, that's fine too. I will stay for 15 minutes. We'll do a video, and then we'll aim for the next live stream. So this is basically like the first live stream is going to be a test live stream, and we'll see how that goes. It's going to be a great call. Bring your questions and just bring your energy, because getting together with like-minded individuals of high energy elevates the energy of each of the individuals in that group. In turn, it's sort of like a virtuous circle, so to speak. So I got a question just today from a subscriber. So the subscriber says, "Dear Javier, thanks for your channel a lot, and thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and thanks for the questions, because as we said, it really helps us illustrate the points that we make in these videos in a new way and in an expanded way. So I feel that I found it serendipitously. And of course you found it because you were ready for it, because you were in the vibration of it, and because you were basically a match to it. I love all of your material. Thank you so much. I've been practicing the law of attraction for 2 years now, which means, or which rather should mean, I've been practicing knowing who I am. Because remember, whatever term you use, law of assumption or law of attraction or manifesting, that all has to be backed up by a knowing of who you are. And that knowing is that you're not separate from the divinity, therefore you're not separate from what you want. Then you can utilize these modalities sort of as mental models and as principles to help you navigate the whoop and wharf of life, so to speak. But if you become attached to these notions and concepts without truly knowing who you are, then they'll just become like another process, and it'll become like something that you might be good at or might not be good at, and that'll just hamper you. But if you just know that law of attraction is basically the law that works when unity comes into duality, and therefore there's an observer and observed, then law of attraction operates because there are two objects in that. But at root of that is still a knowing of who you are. Likewise, law of assumption works when you know that you are your desire, but when you're trying to use it by trying to assume in order to get something, then that also becomes an idol, and then that also starts to work against you. I hope you understand us here just a little bit, because these are very important points. We're fine-tuning here because we know that the viewers of this channel are master manifestors. You're ready for this. We're giving you the equation, ladies and gentlemen. We're giving you the formula. This is the formula. The formula is knowing who you are, and then all of these other concepts become auxiliary concepts. And even the concept of change that we're going to go into in this letter take a back seat. You don't have to change, ladies and gentlemen. The good news is you don't have to change, and we're going to show you why and how you don't have to change. It's a simple act. It's a simple knowing, but we'll get there here. Let's continue with the email here. He says, I'm 20 years old. You're very young, and it's so amazing, as Abraham Hicks said to one of the people in the hot seat, speaking about his daughter, who was also very young. He said it's amazing that she's already creating from a step 3 perspective. And step 3 meaning knowing that you allow it, because you know the dynamics of the law of attraction. So therefore you stop working for it, you stop struggling for it, and you start allowing it. Well, this little girl knew how to do that at such a young age, and you are at a relatively very young age. Your future is going to just explode once you get that knowing, and you already have that knowing. We're just here to rekindle it in you. I'm working at a job in the tech industry, but my true passion is in skateboard design, which is very interesting. It's not something that I know anything about, but it's very interesting. It seems like a very creative profession, very intellectual and creative, and at the same time applied, because you have to actually build these things, so on and so forth. I've done some blueprints for money, but nothing that could take me to the success I need to get me to having my own business. So, you're already looking at the past. Of course you are, because it's natural to look for the past as a kind of roadmap to the future, but it absolutely doesn't have to be that way. And if you think about it, it's absolutely irrational. Because as Alan Watts talked about in his video on time, the wake of the boat does not drive the boat. No, the boat has its own inner propeller, so to speak, its own inner motor system that propels it forward. And you can move forward to anywhere, from anywhere, and it doesn't matter what you've done before. And this all has nothing to do with what you've done before. You're starting every moment brand new, because indeed there's only one moment. I know you know this, but it's time to internalize it. It's time to know it deeper, and it's time to allow that to permeate everything else in your life. So he says, I want to be free, and of course this is what this channel is about, getting free of the prison grid. But we're going to show you why you're already free. The very act of knowing this, the very act of knowing, means that you're free. But I think I'm holding myself back from going all in. I've done that journaling you recommend, and I believe that the true reason is deeply that I have fear of failure due to embarrassment. So now you're observing your emotions. And this is amazing because this actually illustrates the point that we just made in the last sentence. See, when you get into the position of the observer and you're able to observe your emotions and observe what's going on in your mind and what's going on in your body, and indeed what's going on all around you, is part of the observation of the present moment. This is scientific. At the very moment of observing that, you realize yourself as apart from that, and that that is not you. It is simply an accoutrement, so to speak. Or, as some people have said, it's simply a life suit or an earth suit or a flesh suit, so to speak. It suits this illustration well. Then you realize that you can take that off and put on any other suit that you want anytime you want. Because you are the observer. You're not the observed. In fact, the observed doesn't exist, nor can it exist apart from you. But you are the observer. What does that mean? Well, we'll go further through this email and sort of talk about it. But you can try to change your beliefs. You can try to journal yourself out of that embarrassment. Indeed, you can do that. And sometimes we'll recommend that you do that, especially if you're in a very low emotional place or you're facing a deadline, as many people who write us are. We'd recommend that you go journal through that. But you don't have to. As we were talking about in the video a few days ago, this is as easy as a second. I want you to try this. Okay, when you observe your fear of failure, observe that emotion that comes up. And just look at it. Say, you know what? This emotion is here, and you know what? It can stay as long as it wants. And as you observe that completely, you'll realize, especially as you get really good at this, no thought can come in, and there's nothing analyzing it, and there's nothing interpreting it. So when you just view that feeling within your body, it could be in your solar plexus, it could be in your chest. A lot of times it'll happen to me in my neck, these sorts of negative emotions. Then you ask yourself, is that fear? Where do you see fear? Is there a word fear that we can put on the table? Put it on the table. Put that word fear on the table so that we can look at it. There is no fear. So there's nothing there except a movement. See this well. You don't have to interpret it. As Marcus Aurelius says, you can exercise your right not to have an opinion. And in observing that, your opinion of it is dissolved. Therefore, you're not it. Therefore, you don't need to change because you are the change. In the very observation, it changes. And this is proven in science in the observer effect, in the double slit experiment. Depending on whether something's being observed or not, its behavior changes. The fear, when it's observed, it transmutes. It transforms in a sort of alchemy into part and parcel of your divinity. I hope you understand this just a little bit, and we're going to make it a little more clear. So, I believe that my family and friends, some of whom I think want me to fail, will criticize me when I fail. That's another emotion. It goes into context that we talk about in this channel. And I don't like this. Of course you don't like this. So, just a little reminder about context. We talked about it in the early days of the channel. And context is basically, it's below personality on that scale of being. And it's basically your surroundings in your thought. Because, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, what's surrounding you visually, physically, in any given moment is always going to be a very small agglomeration of objects. So, I've got these walls, I've got this roof, I've got this fan. Of course, it could be an infinite amount of objects, but we can only perceive a very small amount of objects, right? And even this is part of context, because even this is a projection of consciousness. It's all a projection of the mind. There's no out there, as John Wheeler says. But let's just say that the materialistic concept is correct and that this all is real, is out there. Okay, it's a very small agglomeration of objects. What you feel is surrounding you, and what you unconsciously and viscerally act upon as your surroundings, it's all a component of thought. So, for example, you believe you're surrounded by your family. You believe that you're involved in a supply chain, so to speak. All of these are concepts. Of course, they work because they're provable and the results are repeated, so to speak. So, for example, if you're part of a supply chain, you buy eggs at the supermarket every week, and that basically proves the existence of that supply chain. But your perception of that is simply a thought form, and it can be called into your experience at will, and it can be blotted out of your experience at will if you learn to use these tools. So you can create a new context, but you have to let go of the old context. So if you're saying my family and friends are surrounding me and I think they wish me to fail, that's your context. You can just as easily get into alpha and declare and appropriate, everyone around me wants to succeed. You might not even believe it at first. You will believe it as you continue to practice the affirmation, but we're even teaching you a quicker step than that tonight. We're teaching you the step of knowing who you are, getting into that knowing, and then everything else will simply flow from that. And so he says, so I never move forward. And of course you are moving forward, because every step is a movement forward, because your end is already there. You're just not aware of the film roll. You see, you're only aware now of the film roll that you're on. But if you know who you are and you get into that knowing, and as an aid use some of the techniques and processes that we give in this channel, like we've given in the videos before about accepting the worst case scenario and so on and so forth, accepting the fact that you're on this film roll, trying your best to make little tweaks in the film roll, you can get your energy to that next film roll. But what we're teaching tonight, is an even quicker route. And that route is just knowing it. And it's not verbal, it's not even imaginal. And that's why we don't really call it imagination in this channel. And that's why we don't really call the creative faculty imagination in this channel. Rather, we call it focus. Because you can focus yourself into the state of what you want to be at an instant. And it doesn't even matter how you feel, because you do feel it. Because you are it, and because you're on that film roll. It's very easy. So you want this business. You want to be completely free, and you want to be making an income. And remember, you don't even need a business to make an income. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what's the first thing I want? You can have both. You can have them all. But do I really want income? Is that my nagging, screaming desire? Is it an income without having to work? Then indeed you already have that. And you don't even need to design skateboards. So what you could do is you could close your eyes, you could say, I have a completely independent income that's just coming to me easily without my lifting a finger. And then you know that. Feel that knowing. Even if you only feel it for a second. As Neville Goddard says, not intensity of vision, but it's frequency. It's how much do you come back to that when you fall. Every time you doubt it, just come back momentarily to that momentary knowing of what you have and say, you know what? I have an income. And you can make the number that you want and so forth that's relevant to your circumstances. But know that you have that income, and then say, now that I have that income, I'm free to design skateboards. And then start doing that. Anything that you can do on the physical, do it. Anything that you can't yet do on this film roll, do it in imagination, do it in focus. So if you don't have enough time to design it because you have to go to your job, in the free moments of your job, start imagining how you will design those skateboards. And I promise that knowing and all of those techniques will fuse and before you know it, you will be where you want to be, but you have to drop everything else. We give a lot of techniques to do it in this channel, but this technique is the technique of techniques. It's so good that it isn't a technique. It's getting into the knowing of who you are. Know that you have that because you are it. He says, deep down, I don't believe I can make this a full-time business. I feel stuck. What can I do? Observe that belief that's coming up. I don't believe I can make this a full-time business. Which is rubbish, by the way. Because once you set that end, and I'm telling you, in the beginning stages, even Abraham Hicks says this, take money out of the equation. But how do you really take money out of the equation? Especially if you're suffering from a lack of money like the subscriber. Especially if you need money to live and you can't really think about much else. Well, then imagine yourself, know yourself, having a completely independent income without doing any work. Why should you have to work? You don't have to work. That's a propaganda that the society has pushed upon us because they think they need to control our behavior. You don't have to work. There's a film roll, because all possibilities exist. There's a film roll where you are generating income, an abundant income, without having to lift a finger. Oh, you're going to do a lot, and you're going to design skateboards, but it's not going to be in the pursuit of income. Now, a good part of your income may come from that means, but that's just a means, and it could just as easily come from other means. But once you get comfortable in that knowing that your income is coming, that your income is there, even if you don't perceive it on the physical, then you can go into actually designing the skateboards. That's how you make that a full-time business. You do it by knowing, you do it by getting into that state. This is a lot of what we train our clients in our coaching calls through, to be able to get to the nitty-gritty, to the root of these issues, to be able to very quickly get into the state of these issues, and then very quickly to be able to have measurable results on the outer, because all of this is so that you can live a better life, ladies and gentlemen. It's not simply empty philosophical speculation. So know it, be it. You don't have to change. Observe it, and in your very observation of the emotions that go against that, those will be cleared out, and then your path to whatever you want will come up before you very clear, like a very clear path in a forest. And you will be there because you are there, because you know that you are it. And that is how, my friends, to manifest no matter what, without having to change. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching the video. Do attend the live stream coming up tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central, Dallas time. I'll see you there. Remember, I am doing coaching calls. We will get you to more progress in weeks than it takes some people years to make, ladies and gentlemen. Please do subscribe and like to the channel. Please continue commenting, sharing, and liking. I appreciate everything that you do to get this modality out there, to participate in the modality, and to create the energy that we're going to be, and to create the energy for us to become a group of master manifestors. See you tomorrow, guys. Much love and appreciation. This is Javier. I'll see you soon.